All right, so we assembled our base with the little roof here and the cover for the weight section. So we figure out what we do to weight this down. So the solution I came up with is using BBs. These are BBs, they're easy to get. These have to be copper coated, but I had these already for some other projects I've been working on. And I'm never going to use up this many, so this seems like a great solution for me. So BBs are very dense. They're made of steel, and they aren't going to rust, particularly since they have a copper coating. So shouldn't be any problems. I don't want to use lead because lead is basically toxic. So anyway, I don't want to be messy. I could just pour the BBs in here and maybe glue them in, but I want to get a little more flexibility. So we're going to put this baggie in here and fill it up with BBs, and then we'll see how much that weighs. Pour them in here. That's pretty good. Close this up. Yeah, that's pretty good. So let's see how much this weighs. Alright, so it weighs almost 13 ounces, or 367 grams. Okay. Alright, so this feels pretty solid to me. Let's make sure this top goes on. That's important. Yeah. So that's good for now. Yeah, that's not going to tip over. Alright, so I'll add I'm making an inventory of all the materials I'm using to build this model. So at the end, I'll have a spreadsheet showing how much it cost me to build it. So let's add the cost of these to my spreadsheet. All right, so we're on to step 3 of the assembly of the orbital launch tower, and that tells you to put the supply reel and glue it to the base. These little holes here, this little hole here is a way to attach the end of the cord we're going to use to raise and lower the chopsticks. And this hole's pretty small. I haven't tried putting the cord in. I'm sure I've got the cord that I think it's a 1mm cord, but it looks like it's going to be kind of tricky to get it in here once it's all glued in, because you have to feed it down and somehow snake it out here, and then you're just going to tie it off, and it'll never do anything. And I kind of want to hide that, so I want to have it going this way. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip this step and do it at the end when I install the cord. So we're going to put this aside, save that, and move on to installing the step 4, which is the drawworks, which is this shaft here and the bearings and everything. So we're going to that step 4. We're skipping step 3 for now. We'll save it for the end. All right, so we're going to do the drawworks. So we're back to some more magnet fun. This time we're using the bigger magnets, so it'll be a little more of a challenge. We haven't tried out any technique yet, so that'll be a good test. These are the 5mm by 3mm magnets. So you need to put one at the bottom of this shaft. So we're using the pin magnet for that to get that lined up, the polarity lined up. So put a drop of glue down in here. Yeah, get over there. And we'll force that magnet in there. So for the 3x5 or 5x3mm magnets, I'm going to put the glue in the holes first because they're bigger. The 3x2 I was gluing afterwards, but so you put this in. I'm going to use our plastic tool to hold it down in there. Otherwise, it's going to come out with the magnets. There. Alright, so that's in there. Seated nicely. Okay, we'll set that aside away from all the other magnets. Now we'll use our opposite magnet, which is this flat one. So that can easily go, and this is the it's like a key you can stick in there, and it'll attach to the magnet that's in the shaft, and then you can turn it and move the chopsticks up and down. This is a pretty small twisting lever here, so I may design a longer one that can go out here and turn like a like a regular reel. So anyway, I'll do that once I'm already all done. I'm just going to do it the way he designed it. All right, so now we have the X on the side we're not using. So now, if we put this side of the magnet in here, it should attract to the one that's in the shaft. So I'll put some glue in here. So put this in. Slide it to the side and hold it down with our finger. Actually, no, that's okay. All right, so I'm going to set this somewhere else, away from that other magnet. Oop. Everything around here is magnetic. Okay, let's put it over here. Then the last one we have is this lock. So this lock fits on the end of the shaft. It has a little key here. Fits into this this little opposite key on the bottom of the Drawworks base. And then that stops it from turning. So then you put the chopsticks where you're gonna, for display, you put the chopsticks where you want. Then you replace the turning key with this lock. So we need another magnet in here, so it'll go to the one that's in the shaft. So we need to get another magnet up here. It's went right back on. Okay, sure it did. All right, set those aside. One thing good about this is they automatically figure out the polarity they need. That's makes our life simpler. All right. So if you watch this far, you'll have this trick. I'll put it in the show notes, but you'll have this trick of using two magnets, if you can find them, to do all this work. So then you don't have the same problem that I did. Same challenge as I did putting together the booster and the Starship. Want the shaft to turn freely in here, smoothly, and so to do that, use these skateboard bearings. These are probably maybe not be exactly for a skateboard, but the same. There's a lot of skateboard bearings out there. So I designed something that needed a bearing like this. I just used the skateboard bearings because they're super cheap, because they come by the millions. So these are a specific size. They're 10 millimeter, that's the inside, by 19 the outside, and 5 millimeters thick. So I'll have a link to a US source for these. And these, it says you're supposed to glue them, so I'll go ahead and glue them, sure, and they won't come out. I'm going to do a test fit first, though, to make sure. So these holes, because they were printed vertically, I did use supports in here, but they're kind of oblong, but that'll just hold it in more tightly, I think. I think it should go in there. Yeah, it's going to go in there. So I don't want to push it in because it'd be too hard to get out, and I want to glue it first, so we don't need much glue here, and we don't want to glue the... You know what? I'm not going to use any. Well, I'll just use a tiny drop of glue along the perimeter, top and bottom. I don't want to glue on the face of it because I don't want any glue to get in the bearing itself. That would be a disaster. I have to reprint this piece. So, but I'm just going to put glue on the bottom of it. That's enough to hold it in there. So I had to buy 6 of these, so maybe I can find it even for another project. I don't know. We'll see. It's like all the extra magnets I have now, because I had to buy 100 at a time. I used fewer magnets than he calls for, so I have a lot of extra magnets. Alright, so that's in there. Now we can try it. Put the shaft goes this way, yeah. So it's a pretty tight fit in the bearing, but that's okay, because that's the part it's not going to be turning. So it turns pretty easily. It's not super. It's not going to spin on its own, but okay. And then later on, we will thread the cord through here, and this is how you wind it up to move the chopsticks up and down. So we'll just set that aside, and that's the end of step 4. Or we need to glue this to here. Yeah, that's right. So now, once this is glued, can this come out? Doesn't look like it. Looks like once it's in there, once this is glued in there, this shaft is not going to come out because if it hits this up right here. Might be able to get it out, but I'm not planning on it. So it definitely has to be glued in, and you obviously need the shaft to point out this way. The thing about putting this in there, you need to make sure the place where the key goes and the lock here is on this left side. So So I'm happy enough with this now. This is turning. Again, though, it's not super smooth, but we actually don't want it to be, you know, we don't want to be too smooth because we don't the chopsticks aren't that heavy because they're made of plastic, so they're not really going to pull on this very much. So I think it's going to be fine. And again, you know what? I'm going to put off gluing this until we put the cord. We put all the we thread the cord through, because it's going to be a lot easier to put the cord through and tie it off than when it's glued in here. So we're gonna skip the gluing step for the whole Drawworks assembly, the supply reel and this one, until the very end. So, all right, finally we're onto the tower itself. We're done with the base. Maybe we can with the base. Now we're going to assemble the tower. So here's this level 1, section 1 tower I printed with the sacrificial layer at the bottom. So the holes, there's just holes in the base here, and use the dowel pins, which again, I'm using this 3mm acrylic rod. I'll have a link where I got this too. So the holes are exposed, and you put a dowel rod in the base, and then the top of it sticks up through there. They're 20mm long. So this wasn't satisfactory. So I went ahead and printed it again. Also, I forgot to put supports on for this overhanging part here. So put that aside. This is the one I printed with a. Let's get this. I'll put this on. I'll just leave it in there for now. This is one I printed with a raft. So hopefully it'll work the same way. We'll find out pretty soon. And then this is the. He calls it a support tool, I think. Assembly tool, yeah. So the assembly tool helps keep the vertical pieces upright, so they don't flop. Particularly if it's on this, they're going to flop all over the place. So with a raft, they're very stable. That's good. Then you put these support frames. No, let's see, the vertical support frames, yeah. Vertical support frames, they have little grooves here. This is a clever design. So little grooves here that fit into the points of these square uprights. So each one goes in, and then they go in like this, and it looks like, actually they go this way, and they don't want to go all the way to the bottom. That's one purpose with the support tool, is the bottom of them rests on the support tool. Okay, so they're not all the way to the base, the flat base of this thing. There's 4 of those, so I'll put all those in. I'm going to put them all in first, then glue. I'm not going to try to put glue on them, then slide them in, because remember, these uprights are just flopping around, even with the raft. They still kind of flop around a little bit. So I can't imagine doing this without the raft. It's just, they'd be all over the place. I'm going to put all 4 in, so they're ready to go. They are already coming out, so you have to make sure that once they're all in there. So the pointy end goes up, and the little legs go down. So okay, so those all go in there. And then he recommends gluing it and then putting rubber bands around it. So let me get the rubber bands, and then we'll glue it in place. All right, so I decided to put the rubber bands on first. That way, the legs won't come out of the grooves then. At least put the bottom one on. Yeah, so all the groove, everything's in the groove. It's in the groove, Jackson. Let's make sure. All up to the bottom too, so make sure everything's lined up here. He shows using 3 rubber bands. I think 2 is going to be enough. On the larger scale one, the 1 to 96 scale, I think you might need 3. But so we're just going to put some glue right along each of these joints here. Actually, he has 1 for each joint, so I will probably put 3 on, I guess. I'm just going to let it wick in by capillary action. really push to the bottom. Okay, so that's all the four sides. So they're all to the bottom. I'll put some more other rubber band on here. Slide this one down. Set this on the joint. So probably in the next one I do, I'm gonna put the 3 rubber bands on and just have them just above the joint so you can glue them and then slide them down onto the joint. Okay, so we just need to wait about a minute and this should be dry. Just double check everything. Yeah, okay. Okay, I did them in the wrong order. He says assemble like this with rubber bands, then glue these in. So we're just going to place these in here. I don't think it matters, but I guess it would be a little bit better. So we'll just put these in and glue these first next time. So we'll just put drops of glue on each of these 4 corners. And this one goes up here. So they can come in from the top, so I don't see why they have to be done first, but it's probably fine. Either way, it's probably fine. This way it's going to work. You want to glue the bottom one before you put this next one in. I think that's clear. Make sure they stay. This one stayed in. This one a little bit wanted to come out a little bit. All right, so we'll let that dry, and then we'll be done with section 1. After we have to move the base though. That's our next thing. While I'm waiting for that to dry, I've been cutting 20mm long sections of this acrylic rod to use for the dowel pins. So I've just been measuring on my millimeter scale here, and I'm aiming it down to the bottom of this tray so it doesn't fly all over the place. There. And we can try them out over here. The ends of these are not perfect, but I don't think it matters. They're going to be down in these little wells here. In fact, I'll probably glue these in. I'm not going to glue the bottom of the frame to the base, the first section, because I may want to mess around with this weight some more. So once this first section is glued in there, it's going to be even harder to get in there and do stuff. So we'll glue them. I'm going to glue these. Well, I'll make sure it fits first. Then I'll glue these into the base, and they'll just stay there. And then we'll just set this on top when we're displaying it. All right, so this should be dry now. We're going to just leave the rubber bands on now while we take this base off. This is the... it's got the raft on it. Let's see. The other thing I didn't mention before is you want to make sure... I don't think I did, but make sure you don't glue the assembly tool to the uprights. So I'm not sure. Let's be careful about that. That's all. All right, so this part is coming off pretty easily. All right, so there should not be. And there's no sacrificial base under these posts. I'll have to work on this some more and figure out the best way to get it out. Okay. Alright, so I tried various ways of getting this raft off under these posts, and one I came up with that worked the best was to get as much off with the nippers, but then just sand it down. So at some point you can just pierce that hole with your file here, and then the hole's there. So not a great solution. When I do the next one, I'm going to have to try to remove the raft more carefully around the post. I just kind of pulled it off and it stuck to the post. So you need to get some kind of a flat tool in there, probably maybe my X-Acto knife, to get it so that it'll when it peels off, it'll peel off under the post too. Right, so now I know what these little indentations for on all 4 sides. It's for this little pointy piece to go down into, so that's what that's for. All right. I look at the diagram more closely, the fully assembled diagram, and this little step here, which I need to sand down to make it look better. It should be the opposite corner to where the drawworks are, so that's the direction that goes.
If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Post a comment if you have any questions or ideas, and I'll try to respond. That's all for now, but more videos are coming, and if you want to see them, please subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification icon if you don't want to miss one. This is Beta Cygni signing out, and keep looking up.